So Biden's new gun control executive agency is looking at banning the sale of ammunition, specifically 5.56, to all civilians in the US by targeting one manufacturer. So let's talk about what is happening and what you guys need to know. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think banning or restricting the sale of ammunition to civilians is clearly unconstitutional and violates the Second Amendment, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to thank one of the main supporters of this channel, which is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee makes amazing coffee and they're huge Second Amendment supporters. They have dedicated roasts for organizations like FBC and GOA. So if you want to support the 2A cause and get amazing coffee, I highly recommend you check out Blackout Coffee. You can check them out using the links down below. And if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you can get 10% off of your order. So as I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we have some kind of concerning news that we need to cover. 20 states and their attorney generals have submitted a letter to Biden and his new Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And that letter is requesting that this new executive agency look into and potentially investigate and put restrictions and recommend restrictions on the sale of certain ammunition to civilians like me and you. This letter states that essentially these 20 states support the ban on the sale of the most common rifle ammunition 5.56 to civilians like me and you. This should be a huge red flag and should be very concerning to every single gun owner and really should be on a lot of people's radar, because what is now happening is that these 20 states are going to try to leverage this new executive agency that was put in place by Biden and his administration. And their goal was to put in place this executive agency that is focused purely on gun control. And now this new agency is being leveraged by a bunch of states to attack our ability to acquire ammunition. The new White House Office of Gun Violence will likely try to weaponize other executive agencies like maybe the ATF to target certain ammunition manufacturers like Lake City, but also they may have a plan to introduce new agency rules and regulations through someone like the ATF as well to ban the future sale, the future acquisition of certain what they claim is military grade ammunition. The claim behind this letter, which was submitted by the 20 states to this new administration and this new agency, was essentially that they want an investigation into Lake City Ammunition, who has sold what they claim is military grade ammunition, which is manufactured at their plant, and they claim that it has gone into commercial sales, into the commercial market, and they want to cut off that sale. The letter claims that some of the ammunition produced at Lake City was potentially used in incidents like Uvalde and then Buffalo. And here's kind of the letter that was sent to the new executive agency on gun violence, essentially the new gun control agency. And the letter states that we write on behalf of states of New York, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Delaware, the District of Columbia, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington, the states, to express concern about recent reports that billions of rounds of military-grade ammunition manufactured at the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant have been sold on the commercial market, leading to their use in many of the most tragic shootings in recent history. We ask your office to conduct an investigation into the contracting processes that led to this situation and to take action to ensure that military grade and military subsidized ammunition stays out of civilian hands. So right there, they're asking for an investigation, and then they're asking for this executive agency to take action to ensure that this type of ammunition is not going to get into the hands of civilians like me and you. So that is what is being requested, and that is potentially what this executive agency is going to do. They go on to state in this letter that according to recent reports, the ammunition made at Lake City for our military has been sold to civilians in mass quantities. And then they go on to claim that some of these bullets, some of the ammunition has been used in various incidents. They include, again, those incidents like Uvalde, Parkland, and Buffalo, claiming that ammunition from Lake City was used specifically in those incidents. Now, how they know that, I don't know, but that's what they are claiming. They go on to say in their letter that compounding the horror, the bullets used in this violence were subsidized by American taxpayers, as the federal government has apparently invested more than $860 million to improve production. Ammunition from Lake City is manufactured for military use and does not belong in our communities. Federal courts have repeatedly noted the military nature of 5.56 rounds, which are used in military-issued rifles such as the M16. Military-style weapons and the ammunition specifically manufactured for them should be limited to military use. So that is the position right now that's being taken in this letter and is being presented to the executive agency here for that type of action. They want to limit this claimed military grade ammunition from being able to be used by civilians like me and you. Now, we all know that 5.56.223 is not really military grade. It's not anything special, but what they are trying to do is play some word games, use some buzzwords to potentially restrict the sale of this ammunition to me and you. They go on to say that even if military grade ammunition were appropriate for civilian market, its sale to private parties should not be subsidized by taxpayer dollars. In the short term, we ask your office to investigate the contracting and manufacturing practices that led to so many billions of military grade rounds being sold into our communities, and to issue a public report with recommendations about how to end the diversion of military ammunition into civilian hands. In the long term, we ask the White House to ensure that future production contracts prohibit the sale of military weapons and ammunition to civilians. So, what does that mean, and what is so concerning about what was just sent to this new executive agency by these 20 states? Well, these states are asking Biden and his new gun violence agency that he created to leverage their powers to investigate and potentially constrain Lake City Ammunition, which is one of the largest ammunition manufacturers that is out there, which is also responsible, I believe, for reports around like 30% of all 5.56 production, which makes it into civilian hands. They are claiming here that since Lake City also has military contracts and produces for the military, they should be essentially barred from also producing similar ammunition that is then sold to people like me and you. Essentially, the government wants to say that if Lake City wants those military contracts, if they want that $860 million going forward, if they want that federal money, well, then they need to stop selling to civilians like me and you. And again, how is this all being done? Well, through this new vague executive agency that Biden and his administration created. It's going to be through Biden's new administration, which, we put out a video a few months back when it was created, and we talked about how concerning this new executive agency is, because it's talked about how this agency is going to, help other agencies like the ATF, DOJ, FBI, whoever. It's going to try to coordinate with them so potentially they can put in place more gun violence prevention, which really is just utilize new tools, new strategies to put in place gun control. It seems like through this letter, these 20 states, these attorney generals are asking for this new agency, and they're proposing a new action, and one of the first actions that this new agency can take, and it's a target on the sale of ammunition and the manufacture of ammunition, and what companies can manufacture certain ammunition, and maybe their restriction on being able to also sell to civilians. This also further signals what we can potentially expect going forward from agencies like the ATF and maybe some other states as well. There will likely be new laws and regulations introduced going forward which target the sale of ammunition. Very concerning. It seems like maybe one of their new strategies may be, instead of going after firearms themselves or maybe items like magazines, maybe now their new strategy is to simply target, potentially ban or cut off the supply of ammunition, because maybe they think that is going to be easier. Maybe, to them it's easier to not necessarily ban the items themselves, but target the manufacturers, make it potentially a restriction on them being able to sell to civilians like me and you, or make it so costly for them that they decide, no, we're not going to sell it to civilians, we're just going to take these military contracts. Right now, this is just a proposed investigation which is being sent through a letter to this new agency, but I have no doubt that the agency will in fact investigate this, and likely we will see some sort of proposal which will pop up this year, maybe before the election cycle, try to make it seem like this new agency is going to do something, especially to kind of boost some of the election numbers. This is probably not going to be good for prices going forward. We already know that prices kind of skyrocket during these election years, and if this type of action is also being taken place, and maybe if Lake City is affected in some way, we could see prices be drastically impacted as well. Now, by no means am I saying go out and purchase ammunition. I don't think we're at that point right now, so don't fall into any of that. But it is concerning because we have seen a very concrete letter being sent by these 20 states to this new executive agency, which has very vague and potentially broad powers right now to look into Lake City and potentially restrict their ability to sell ammunition to individuals like me and you, to cut off the sale of 5.56 to civilians. But if anything else develops, if we get any more information, I will let you guys know. Also, if you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. I also highly recommend that you check out my buddy, Mr. Guns and Gear. I'll link a video to him down below where he covered this issue about 2 months ago. I think he did an awesome job kind of breaking down some of the rumors that were happening at that time. And then also he breaks into some of the, intricacies about Lake City, their military production and all that. He knows a lot of that stuff a lot more than me, so I also highly recommend you check that out. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.